Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roto Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show, coming to you live from two different offices in Texas. As usual, I'm joined by the gregarious personality and Roto Grip superstar, Beef Stew. How are you?
Pretty good, yeah. Had a nice night last night. Tina's continuing she's a 10, but can't. From the Twitter. It's the new trend on Twitter. So she was mortified that I didn't understand it, considering, quote, you spend your whole life on Twitter. But you know, we just revolve in different circles.
Morning, Christoph. I don't recognize you. A new watcher from Germany.
So yeah, so I was thinking about this last night while I had 597 for two. I had the front 23.
Hey, if you'll stop, flexing yourself, I'll flex for you here.
Well, no, I was gonna turn this into a segment.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like so anyway, I had the front 23, and the problem was I was using the Supernova, and I had no real idea what the other ball was going to do, but I kind of was feeling pretty sure that I couldn't shoot another, what would it have been, 13 strikes with the Supernova. And I didn't really care about back-to-back 300s. I just cared about back-to-back 300s. I really want to shoot 900. So it was getting to the point where I had to make a bit of a change. And I didn't have the balls I was born with to just change ball. So I tried to open my angle up a little bit more because it was going to flat 10 pretty easily, and I left the 4-6. So I will just
so really quick here, 597 for two.
Yeah,
and I think this is an important question to have. Would you switch balls on the front 23?
If you'd never shot back-to-back 300s, then clearly not.
Yeah.
But I've done that a few times. And the key to me was shooting back-to-back 300s. And I didn't believe that I had the ability to shoot another 13 strikes with the Supernova.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, when I started the night, I didn't know I could get to a 6-bagger with the Supernova. So...
Yeah, for a ball that you've been fairly straightforward with being, it's okay. Yeah. Like you said, actually, you've been very fair. You said it's good, but
it's just not.
I already have 2 or 3 balls that I love. I don't need one that's I like.
Yeah, I shined it, and that allowed it to stay in play a little bit easier. So. Let me just. So here's the first 300. Like you can see, I'm not exactly wheeling it. That might have been the least convincing strike of the first game.
Oh, this isn't Bells either. This is
Highland. CK Moore 300 on TV Highland.
Yeah, that's where we used to bowl tour stop at, I believe. Yeah.
And then, quite embarrassingly, I have to because
the good and the great, Paul Henderson, Paulie Walnuts.
I went Brooklyn on the front 21.
Did you?
I did, yeah. I don't really know how it happened either because it didn't feel like it was that bad. It just went Brooklyn.
I'm with you, love. I haven't shot back-to-back 300s either, so I couldn't tell you what I would do.
So let's see if this is the right. Yeah, so here's the next game. I really don't feel like I threw this one bad. But I tried to open my angle up a little bit, and she overbounced. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
A little clippy out there. Yeah, I mean, on these one-game reviews, yeah, I mean, it just happens. Most times these are pretty blind, so.
That's someone who knows me too well. Yeah, to be honest, I had a bad day where I didn't go with my instincts. I refused to pick the 49ers last night, even though the 49ers always beat the Rams in the regular season. That cost me the Pick'em League last night. And then I didn't change ball on the front 23. Now, I started the next game double, and then I ring 10. And the ring 10 actually made me smirk a little bit because I'd have been like on fire if it had struck out for 897. Knowing that I needed to change ball. I ended up shooting 832. I flat 10 in the 10th. Going into the 10th frame of the last game, I had 3 misses and 2 of them were 7.
Wow.
Are you not bowling at Rowlett this weekend?
No, I'm taking Linda on a cruise for her birthday, and so next week you'll either be flying solo or a guest host or taking a week off.
Okay. So anyway, that gets me to my segment, right?
Yes.
So, am I America's best league bowler? That's the question. So that's the first question, and then the second question is, if we're doing like Space Jam style, who's bowling with me in the 5-man team to save America?
Yeah.
I mean,
your top 5 league bowlers of all time, like your all time or today?
Just whichever.
If okay, the all time list, because I'm older, and
I mean, Jeff Carter's got to be in there.
Jeff Carter, obviously. Mike Scroggins.
Is it Mike or is it Mark? I don't
Mike.
remember. It's Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
Shannon Plawowski would be in with the.
If you got the mixed team, and Liz, they both had it, and Liz Colkin.
You talking about Colkin or Johnson?
No, Liz Johnson actually, but
I think Liz Colkin's maybe the best female league bowler.
She certainly has the highest scores. I don't know what her week to week is, but yeah, AJ Rice, Jeff Carter.
To me, AJ Rice.
I don't know his league performances.
The point is I bowl with him twice now, and he hasn't broken 600. So
it is a small sample size, but it was not.
I think this is a strong shout. Adam Barter.
Ooh, good call. Yeah. If you want to go back far enough, I imagine Rudy would have been pretty good on the league stuff. So.
I mean, obviously,
just from the height.
I feel like we're disrespecting here, but I think obviously we're missing out on one obvious candidate. What about Mush?
Well, it is a cartoon, I guess. So,
I mean, he should be the leader of the pack. 4 900 sets. Let's go.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not sure he ever shot 800 when everybody was there.
When the towel wasn't across the foot.
Yeah. Oh, somebody. Look, the good and the great are watching today. She's a 10, but can't spare a 10 pin. Well, probably still a 10, just not bowling the Lucy with them. So.
Oh, Matt McNeil, of course. He slyly came in with the ha 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 remember me emoji.
Yoo-hoo. Okay.
Matt's like, man, they've gone through 5 people and they haven't mentioned me in my 1100 before every other week.
How's the beef's breakfast? I don't know. I skip breakfast for this show, you know.
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
23, changing my will to be buried with that ball, not putting it away. Yeah. He was on par with your coming here. Yep.
Well, here's the deal. I think I already ruined it because I turned up late one week because my flight was delayed and they let me catch up and I only shot 650. So I think that's almost shut me out because for perspective, if I'd have shot 870 last night, I still wouldn't have got all the pins back that I lost the previous week shooting 650 for that 261 average. So
get Burkett to guest host. I'm sure he's never watched this ever. But I agree. He's a funny dude. So
might be a little expensive. Might be a little out of our league.
There you go. This is Wichita Bowler of the Year back in the short oil days. Rob Prather.
Did he take it from you?
From me? Shoot, I couldn't beat him. This is 23 feet vacuum stripped every day. He was a full roller through a bud ball about 21 miles an hour. He was as the antithesis of the current Prather, who can make the ball hook the whole lane every time. He can make it not hook.
No, that was the problem. That's why I had 597. I didn't change ball.
There we go. Hey, Kenny. Pharaoh. GG3.
I feel like Pharaoh's is now focusing more on tournament play rather than the old 3 leagues a week or 2 leagues a day.
Yeah, you probably don't know Tam. He was, but yeah, he was a local legend league guy too. A vote for Andy Nyer, the elder.
Yeah. Well, the young as Anthony, but you know.
Yeah, well. We need another Linda ball review. She like the orange 10 cover stock.
They haven't released a new one.
Okay, we'll have to wait for the next introduction. Why not have Lynn on the show as a guest today? I'll tell you what, I'll stick my head out and yell and we'll see.
Yeah, I believe the answer is #allow. We have had Burkett on before, yes.
Yep. Sorry, reading through the comments, trying to get caught up a little bit.
No, I was only bowling like third arrow. Yeah, that they. I mean, if they hook a ton, you haven't bowled in like Plano. Anthony Lavery starts over the left gutter when he bowls at Plano almost.
Yeah,
and that's by choice, by the way. Like I could bowl second arrow at Plano. No worries.
You do have to throw some heat.
Oh yeah, bring the heat. So just to tell you how versatile the range is right now, I used the Supernova this week. Last week I shot 788 and I used the Dark Moss, and the week before that I shot 805 and I used the Reality Strike. So there we go.
Wow. Either you or
no. This is actually funny. This guy bowls the league with us on a Monday, and I was telling him about Tuesday nights. On a Tuesday night, I'm currently 2-18 after four weeks. 2 points. I've bowled 260 4 times. I've only won 2 points.
Yeah, I know David. David's a buddy of Wes's. Been on the Vice golf trip. I don't know how he swung that, to be honest. I mean, he was a nice guy, but he wasn't that nice a guy.
Good morning, Barnes.
He works at Dell, I believe. So, yeah, there we go. I don't know. Maybe Wes was that nice a guy. I don't know. Had enough pull that he could actually.
Well,
pull extra
maybe they brought him as one of the few people on there who'd actually bought any Vice products.
He might have. Yeah, this is true. I think, Brian. That's a good call.
So let's have a little bit of a. So we're not completely clickbaity. Let's
build an arsenal today.
Yeah.
We're just going to use today's balls, new releases.
Yeah, just one.
Or combine at least a very recent one. So
yeah. So where should we start? I guess we should probably pull up the Storm website.
Here's a quick question. First live chat ever. Are any of the new balls similar to the Storm Pro Motion?
No.
Yeah, that was a spec cover that was based off of anticipation of a USB-C rule changing on absorption rules, and it didn't happen. And therefore, everything hooks a fair amount more than that. Wow, nice effort, Kevin. Good seeing you.
That's what happens when you bowl 191 in the middle.
Ooh.
Right. So let me clear some of this shit off.
Yeah, the fade is finally coming out, I believe. I think it
but not for a while, so we don't need to.
Yeah, I guess they finally hit the promo button on it. So IQU.
So we got the Roto page. So of the new balls, we've got X3, Cosmos, Hype Solid, Hustle USA. Global side, we've got Reality Check, Dark Moss. That's it.
On the new.
On the new.
Yeah.
Balls. And then Storm, we've got a few. Supernova, we've got Infinite Physics. We've got Not the Fate. Oh, there she is. How gorgeous is that thing? Oh, man. We got the Phase 5. We got the Night Road. And I think that's about it. No idea what this does. So.
Which one's that one? I can't even read
the Electrify Go.
Yeah, I got to think it's generally at that price point. It's more of a recycle. So
I'm pretty sure that if you're looking for your promotion replacement, that this might be the option. It's got an IQ Tour weight block and it's got spec cover. So
that's a spec cover?
It is. It's a super limited edition though.
Right.
So,
well, it kind of makes sense if you're going retro because that's a ball that it's probably closer.
They didn't go totally retro. They didn't put the HSP logo on it.
Yeah.
They might do on the, on the CG.
The red one was the daddy though. The yellow one was good. The red one was.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised they didn't re-release the red one for the simple reason that that's Chrisman's favorite.
Yeah.
But I think that the yellow one is a little more iconic, like you can see it from the moon.
This is why I love you guys. You are all over this. So,
yeah.
Yep. You are 100% correct.
But I want to get a hold of one just to put on the shelf. Once I found out it had spec cover on it, it wasn't necessarily for me. But I do want one because it's fantastic to look at.
Chris, go check out Beef and Barnzy YouTube page. We both have reviews up on there. Check those out. And
Chris did it. You did the comparisons. I just did basically one game.
Yeah. I threw it up against a Zen Soul, and a Phase 4 to get an idea of what where it would fit.
Not that I want you to, but if you fast forward to the end, you'll find that bit. Wow. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So anyway, if I do get hold of a 16-pound Sunstorm and I drill it, I'm going to have to get to Phoenix because I have an original Sunstorm in my storage unit in Phoenix. So that would be the ultimate bull review. Look, this yellow Sunstorm goes dead straight. This one hooks a couple more.
All
right. So,
all right.
This is kind of like we're how we would put it together if we were picking 6, but we'll also kind of chat about where they fit to give everybody the the skinny. Maybe we don't. Maybe we'll make it 5 just because we're gonna have a spare ball. So 5. It's a 5 fit. So for me, despite the couple of 300s last night, I'm still going to probably want to have the infinite physics in that gap at the top. I think it's just a bit more of an all-rounder. I know that you've been using the Supernova a little bit more. You see it a little bit longer than I do.
Yeah, and in 5-ball, it's still going to be the earliest of the new balls. I could see doing, in a league type situation. Maybe wouldn't have the gem or the proton where both of us have that as the earliest ball.
Yeah.
That's where I would fit it in.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably, let me do, oh no, that won't. I would now actually, I think I would double down and have the reality check underneath the infinite. I actually think they're different enough, even though they're similar overall hook, that if I wanted something that's a little longer and stronger off the spot, I like the reality check. If I'm playing that center where I kind of need to shape it a little bit, but I want something that's not going to overreact off the dry, then I'm into the infinite physics. So I also feel like the infinite physics is probably going to take a surface change a little bit better. If I wanted one of those 2 balls to put more surface on, I think the infinite physics would be better than the reality check. Just, I'm not really basing that off anything other than just, I haven't done it. I'm just looking at the way the balls react. And I feel like the reality check leans towards being better the shinier the surface gets.
Yeah, I think it can be a little bit earlier and smoother, whereas my personal experience with the infinite physics is you can use that one shiny or dull, and it still continues a long time. It has that same kind of thing like the reality does, where you have a big long window, and that's what ends up being that key for a lot of different types of players to use in a lot of different types of conditions. So Supernova, infinite physics, reality check. Is where you're.
So no, I'm not going to have the Supernova. I'm going to have infinite physics and reality check, and then let me make sure I'm not missing any. Then I've actually liked the Cosmos, so I'm going to have the Cosmos, and then underneath that I'm going to have the Night Road, and then probably the Hype Solid. That's the weaker one. I'd probably shine it as well, the Hype Solid. So that's kind of where I would go. I out of these 5 balls, with the dull finish on it, for me personally, I don't have a lot of use for the Hype Solid because I get it through the front part of the lane a little easier anyway. When I need to go down from something like, say, a Phase 2, I'm mainly going down because I can't get it to come around the corner enough down lane. So changing to another dull ball just with left core doesn't really help me in that regard.
Two questions there. One, our buddy Alan Riley, for tour or for league? And Jeremy basically asking the same question.
To me, those two are interchangeable. Like, I don't like. I guess if I was doing it for league, I'd probably take the Wolverine over the Night Road, just simply because I think the Wolverine's a little earlier and a little stronger, whereas the Night Road is a little bit skid snap, I guess, for league. But I mean, I've still bowled some okay scores with that Night Road, but basically the Night Road would be a game 3 only ball in league for me. Whereas the Wolverine, I could use it all 3 games. So
did my video not come out good?
No, I'll explain it. Basically, what happens is we've just got to. I've got to work on it. If you use the wide the super wide lens, that's not 4K. So when you go out, the quality goes down a little bit, and then when you zoom in a little bit. So, I mean, I think you've been a little over the top. The lighting in there is not great. But yeah, that was the only thing.
It's a 12 Pro. I get it. It's not last week's phone, but
I say, it's just because the way the camera processes when you go into the wide, as you come back, Linda goes out, and as you go into the wide, you can actually see it flick and it changes. And then when you zoom back in a little bit, the shot's a little tighter, and it goes because it switches between the lenses.
It gets sharper as you get.
Yeah, if you're a little more zoomed in, it's using a different lens than when you go to the wide angle lens. So it's
okay.
Whatever.
We'll do our best.
Anyway,
but yes, generally speaking, good arsenals are good on either one.
Yeah,
because you're covering hook ranges, and so whether those are whether they're hard or easy, the same balls should really be in play.
So which ones do you like?
Like I said, you know how I like to set up balls from heavier to medium down to dry. And so if we're going to do 5 in that, I could see having, a Supernova is in that same range as a Reality, a little longer than a Gem, a little cleaner than the Proton, those kind of balls. But with a little bit of surface, you could also make it be plenty early enough to cover those ranges. So I would start with Supernova as probably my one heavy ball.
Yeah.
Moving down from there, the Infinite Physics is kind of everyone's universal friend currently. And like you, I think I agree with the Reality Strike, as we're just renaming it now on the show.
Maybe that'll be the next one.
Yeah. Followed by the Dark Moss down, and then a Night Road up. That would be
okay. So you're going pretty pretty heavy with the asymmetrical balls. I've transitioned you.
More so, but a lot of it is these are the newer balls too. In that range. So my overall lineup for a while has been kind of the Gem Reality as a 1-2 punch. Like say you could, if you're going to intermix them, it would be like Gem and then Supernova, perhaps. I don't know that it's better than Reality, but it's in that conversation, at least for me, which is a nice surprise. I would then go to a symmetrical ball like a Phase 5, probably in that middle space. Infinite Physics around it. I do like the Night Road down on the bottom end, and whether it's a Hustle USA, a Wolverine, like you said, one of those balls just above it. We have a few to choose from right now that all are kind of useful. So Seems like I'm missing one off the top of my head right now, but
Oh Jesus. Um. Now
I don't
that
know. To be fair, George, I mean, for most regionals in PBA 50 stops and league, I don't see much different of ratios on the left.
yeah, I mean,
No, I'm just kidding.
to me, I don't really. I mean, this is going to sound terrible, but to me, it's just more about where I put my hand for those. I don't really check. I don't really have sport layouts and house layouts. I don't really use very extreme layouts. So the ones that like are at the bottom of my bag, I might have 1-2 inch pinball. I ain't gonna use that in league. Although I actually did use a 1 inch pin lock for a little while in league, and it was the money for the first 15 frames. And I did actually change on the front 18 out of it.
Yeah, those are we call 10%ers kind of. So they're outside of your base 5 or 6 of your tour arsenal, but they certainly can be very useful on certain things, certainly short patterns and things like that. That's where your thing kind of comes into play too. So
to be honest, all of the balls that I actually have at the minute are almost all drilled the same, because most of the balls I've drilled recently that are fairly new are all the video balls. And I try to kind of drill those the same so I can get at least a base idea for creating the content of what the ball does. So, because you don't want a situation where, you drill the ball and it's like, okay, this is like a super specified layout. And then you do that for your video and you're like, well, if we did like a 4-inch pin as our video ball layout, everything would be early and smooth. Night Road. Yeah, we feel like this one's pretty early and it kind of gets forward. Well, no shit.
Yeah, the only place it skids a little bit more is in the first 15 feet.
So that makes it go more violently forward.
But Billy has a good point here, and this is something that we talk about when we're doing a whole type of arsenal lane play conversation, is that pin down is good for wet dry, and it can be good for when the lanes are hard, because it controls flare, it controls shape, especially the sharpness of the shape.
I also think that that's a little bit misleading, because it obviously depends on your axis. Like
True.
For me, drilling pin down isn't very useful very often. Like the only time I ever really use pin down is it's always on an asymmetrical ball. And it would be like trying to shim it in on a long pattern. That's basically the main spot for me.
And the one thing that's
so high.
This changed, and because there's so many two-handers out there now, for those of you in the chat, if you track very close to the fingers, pin down for you is probably just above the fingers. And then you're moving to really short pin buffers. There was a question earlier about 1-inch pin buffers, and you guys use them. Yeah. I think we all use them to some extent that way. But for a two-hander especially, pin down is above the fingers. And then pin up is
way above the fingers.
Yeah, it's in the moon. It's like 4 inches up. So even on the other side of the VAL, the variable axis line, which is it looks very strange to those of us with a thumb in it, but very legal for them.
I think this is a good question. And this is really where Chris's system comes in, really useful. He says, how do you figure out what you need to buy in your arsenal without buying a bunch of balls? How do you determine what will fit your style best in each spot?
And that's why I think we try. The one good thing about both of us doing ball reviews is a lot of times we don't love the same balls. We tend to hate the same balls, but we don't. But we don't. There's the ones that are good, maybe a little better for me if you like to roll it, and a little better for him if you're able to create more shape down lane, and so those kind of can go interchangeably. But how I do it is I like to have 2 balls for or maybe just one ball for a heavy amount of oil in the front of the lane. Now, if you're a speed dominant player, that becomes 2 balls there and only 1 ball for drier type lanes. And it's not just rev rate, because Ryan needs very few balls down the low end because he can throw it really hard and his ball doesn't hook early.
And
so,
then they almost make the lanes more wet dry.
Yeah, they make the lane worse than not better. So, for him, even in college, he's had a Zen as his cleanest, weakest ball, which is absurd to me.
Yeah,
for me, but it's right for him because of his skill set.
Hi, Robert. Hope everything's going well. Hopefully you get some good news on opening the bowling center back up as soon as possible. I know that they were still waiting for power and water at the bowling center. That community was hit pretty hard, to say the least.
It's Fort Myers there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're thinking of you, hoping for the best. I know that his house, he was quite fortunate, he told me. So I was actually kind of chatting with him about it, saying how to me it's just so like mind-blowing, like coming from, oh, there you go, we have power and they'll maybe be open next week. Okay.
All right. Good.
Oh, this week, sorry. Yeah. To me, what happened in Florida growing up in England is just like, it's just like, what the fuck? It's just like, that's just not even possible to happen. Like, and
Right.
like, then it's just, it just is wild to me. And then, of course, I lived in Arizona, which is like England in that there's no real like super extreme weather. It's just on the complete opposite end of the spectrum temperature wise.
Yeah.
Like Arizona always like has posts about like, they'll show a plant pot falling over and they'll say storm 2020, we will rebuild. And it's like a plant pot's fallen over. Because that's, I mean, I guess they had like a bad haboob come through, but it's just, I don't understand, like, because you get Tornado Alley, kind of this direction as well. Thankfully, I'm not really in it, but yeah, it's just, to me, it's just like, I don't even understand. And, Robert was saying he's lived with it his whole life. And it's just kind of one of those things. I'm just like, I'll be like, nah, let's get our stuff. Let's get the fuck out of here.
It is what you're used to, but Florida is kind of, they get tornadoes, they get hurricanes, they get,
yeah. And then you get a place like Chicago where the less fortunate of us die in the summer because they can't afford to turn the AC on, and then die in the winter because they can't afford to turn the heating on. I mean, what kind of fucked up place is that weather-wise? That it can be so hot that you can't breathe in the summer and so cold that you can't like move in the winter. Like, just wild to me, because England's fairly mild the whole time. Anyway,
a couple of questions here, Adam. So proton physics at the top, I agree with. High Road Max, Zen Master, Soul. The Soul and Helios are probably a little close together. The Zen Master could be your second ball. The Infinite Physics, you don't need an Infinite Physics, a Soul and a Zen and a Helios. 2 of those is probably an Infinite Physics is by far a Beef and Barnzy favorite. And then you have a Night Road on the bottom end of Fate. Looks like it should be a little stronger than that, but we have not seen it in person yet, so we cannot personally.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the Fate and whether the Fate fits in between like the Phase 5 and the Wolverine. It would be interesting to see that, because obviously the Fate has the stronger cover.
Yeah, by just the information, it seems like that's where it should fit. But
like I say, it'd be interesting to see, because I feel like the Fate could end up actually being stronger than the Phase 5. But we'll see.
Wow. Alan Roy asked something. And we see this a lot. Sometimes taking the same ball, 1 pin up and 1 pin down, to nationals. He's had a few up and down scores at nationals. Fagan it did this once at the Weber Cup too. It didn't work out all that great.
He bought like 6 balls and 4 of them were the same ball almost.
Yeah. He basically did that with 2 different balls. So out of the 4, he basically had 2 balls, and when those 2 had the same cover.
Yeah.
So when that cover didn't look good, he was basically down to not much to choose from.
Yeah.
And that's the problem in a small arsenal. I've done it a lot when I was, one company only. We're talking about 3 different companies here. Certainly that opens up your ability. I think when you do that up and down, you have to make sure the surfaces are also pretty significantly different. Pin down and more surface, pin up with more polish will separate those out and make them quite a bit different. And so I'm certainly not opposed to that. I've done it a lot myself, but having the same surface with only up and down makes them way too close, in my opinion, unless you're carrying 8, 10, 12 balls.
I think the recent Storm releases are about as good as they've been ever. Yeah, I think that the R&D department got pissed off by the USBC and are like, okay, gloves are off now.
We're firing them out. New reactive gloss out there. Phase 5. I've tried it both ways now with the factory finish, and then I put a light 3000 just to take a touch of that polish off. It appears this is going to be a pretty good ball because I thought it rolled pretty good both ways. So,
hey Dalton, what's up? I think he's telling you that it wasn't Trey when you said, "Hey Trey."
Oh,
it's our boy Dalton.
Vince is he's a Chicago guy.
Yeah, that's the most messed up thing ever to me. So Jeremy was just talking about the UC3. I've only seen the UC3 look good on house when it's been shiny.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we watched Trey Sledge beat him up pretty good at Longview on something that's more of a pattern, but same thing. It was still shiny. I liked it with surface on it, but that, to be fair, to coin a phrase I've heard before, I didn't really throw it a whole lot. So no. I guess maybe it wasn't the magic answer. Stu and I should have Zen U's here pretty soon, so we can do some video on that.
Yeah, we could maybe do a 3-way match with Ryan and watch him absolutely annihilate us because it's a urethane ball. Would say building an arsenal is quite hard nowadays since a few even say you should get different balls from different manufacturers unless you get a staff contract. I can see what you're saying. I think that there is an argument to do that, but it's not like to me, it's like you might get a ball. Like you're gonna pick whichever manufacturer you want. And like if you decide that you like Storm, then Storm has very few gaps, like overall. So if you want to get another ball because you get a slightly different shape out of it, maybe you want to try a Venom Shock or something, then yeah, to me it makes sense. Maybe you pick up a Purple Hammer. It makes sense. But I think a couple of things. You've got to be a little bit careful, and I feel like you have to do your research a little bit if you want to like have kind of like a set arsenal that you don't end up getting a couple of balls that end up overlapping a lot. So you end up with like just random. You pick a random Ebonite ball, you pick a random Motor ball, you pick a Storm ball, but you end up picking like kind of similar numbers, and you have 3 balls that are like kind of similar. Like, so that's why you got to be a little bit careful. I feel like in general, Storm have definitely the more aggressive motion down the lane. I feel like Motive seem to be able to create the balls that are like, they do well on tour when you want like when there isn't as much oil on the lane, I think, and you can get a ball that's slower responding to the dry, whether that be in the front part of the lane or down the lane. I feel like that's where Motive bowls quite well. Like, so, Maybe. I mean, who knows?
It's something we've certainly heard, but I think that gap is closing on a pretty regular basis. But I think Stu's absolutely right. I mean, in general, 15 years ago when I came out on tour, Storm always had the hockey stick.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really good at creating shape, but they couldn't make low RG balls at the time, and they didn't have a lot of covers that were super aggressive in oil. And so, man, even on tour, you knew the back 3, 4, 5 games, the guys were coming. But the first three, the Brunswick and earlier rolling balls had an advantage over them for a while, and then they figured it out. And from that point on, especially like say, it started before then with balls like the Agent and that were still had a lot of shape that were low RG. But once the Marvel S came out, and that was Prodigy, it was pretty much game on at that point, where Storm could cover on the fresh, and then you still had all those advantages late in the block.
Yeah. No. So real quick to recap, I did a spare ball, and then I did Infinite Physics, Reality Check. I did Idle Cosmos, Night Road, and Hype Solid. Chris went with Supernova, Infinite Physics, Reality Check, Dark Moss, and then what was your last one?
Night
Road.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the direction we went. So hey Teresa, I have Supernova, Nova, and Zen. My first question would be, do you ever have issues with the Zen where you feel like you needed something below that? If you do, then I would look at a Night Road, because I feel like that ball's pretty responsive. If you don't, then I would look at a Dark Code, because I feel like that would be a good ball in between Nova and Zen. Like, I feel like it'd probably be a little bit cleaner than the Zen, but with it being asymmetrical, it'd flare more. So you'd probably see a more dynamic move down the line.
I think our favorite fits in there too. That Infinite Physics fits in that slot.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe the Infinite Physics might end up being a little
there.
Close to the Nova. Yeah. That was the only.
Yeah, Nova's pretty smooth though compared to Physics.
But... No, I get it. I was trying to get like something that was really like a skid snap ball.
Not in league generally, but yes, you can practice it. You just take a ball that's too strong, and I think you have to practice it because most places you have to either cut off a step or two, or really shorten several steps so that your last two are relatively close.
Talking about approaches, shout out to Sean Lavery for coming out with the victory in Oklahoma. He ran the ladder, taking out Eric Jones, Packy Hanrahan, and Dylan Macon in the final. So he exceeded my expectations of the right-handed players because it was a righty final, him against Dylan. So congrats to Sean, one of the more consistent players in the region for sure.
Yeah, actually, he said it was his first win in 5 years, and I didn't realize it because he wins a lot of stuff of the other big tournaments. There just wasn't regional, so he had between 10 and 15 second place finishes in there, but he hadn't won a regional in 5 years. So shout out to him. It was a pretty cool performance.
Would you rather bowl on Bear or the Badger? Me personally, the Badger, because my rev rate's lower. I feel like we just get crushed on Bear.
Yeah, and Badger the same reason, because I think it speed control is a big part of being good on Badger, and it's not as much about just rev rate.
Well, you also, I can keep it online, and the guys with the high rev rates can't, and they can't open it up, so it makes it much harder for them on the Badger in general. What was that one?
Yeah, we can. That's a good idea. We could probably put a video together. I have plenty of shots that are spaced out over the period of 2 years of kind of where it started and what it looks like now. So
I'll be perfectly honest, Seymour. I have no idea what that means. Like, I don't really follow the 2LS system because I have no reason to. But I'm glad that it saved you. Zenu feels like the next league ball we'll see in league.
It, from what we see, it hooks a lot. So,
to fill out a 6-ball Arsenal, would you suggest to add Proton Phoenix, Dark Code, Phase 2, Hieropost Spell, Infinite Physics, or fill another gap? Yeah, Infinite Physics is the perfect gap there for me. You got a pretty big gap between the Proton and the Dark Code.
Yeah, nails it.
The only other ball I would consider is a Zen to fit between your Phase 2 and your High Road Pearl.
True.
Yeah, the OG Idol was pretty sweet. That did a lot of damage for a lot of people. I know Simo's still got quite a few left. Him and Prather have been hoarding.
Yeah, and that's kind of when we're setting up ball arsenals. Good balls just roll good. They don't have to have, 4 sport, 4 league. Just the good ones roll good, and then you can.
If I was trying to replace an OG Idol, I'd probably go with a Phase 2 because I felt like most of the time those two balls were fairly interchangeable. It's just one of them worked better than the other at certain centers.
Yeah, Phase 2 just slightly less or longer, I guess.
Yeah, until you shined it. That was the thing that was amazing about the Idol. If you had it dull, it could be one of the strongest balls you've ever owned. And if you had it shiny, it became quick. It was amazing how different you could make the reaction. Oh, yeah. Okay. I hadn't really picked up on that, but okay. Yeah. And by were, you mean are.
Yeah. Crux Prime, Infinite Physics, UC3, 1030. Herald Max.
God, you've got a collection of terrible balls there. Wow. I mean, it's almost like you're trying. I mean, by terrible, I just mean like really nichey. Like the Crux Prime was like, is either good or not really in play. UC3, same. The Honey Badger
Prime's a little before I was able to throw Storm. That's the red, white, and blue one.
Yeah. It's spec cover. Super good on like short patterns. Kind of shine it, and you can really throw it at the dry and it not over hook. I wouldn't necessarily want it as my strongest ball. UC3, another one that's kind of like it's either yay or nay. To me, the way I would describe your arsenal is you have an arsenal of balls where you need to carry 12.
A lot of balls that are good in
really small spots. Wild, another one.
You really want 6 balls that all cover 20 to 25% each.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of overlap in between them, but you have a lot of 10 and 10 and 10 and
like High Road Max is another one.
It's really early.
Really strange combination. Super strong cover with a high RG weight block. I don't remember which is the HSB, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I would look to try and add some all rounders in, like the ones that we really like. Like I say, you've got the Infinite Physics and you've got the Zen. I feel like they're 2 balls that work a lot of the time.
Yeah, I don't mind the High Road Nano as long as it's polished as a ball underneath the Zen.
I don't feel like you have a skid snap ball at all. So a High Road Pearl or a
Night
Road would look pretty useful as a ball. And I feel like you really need to replace the Crux Prime with something like a Reality, a Proton Physics, a Gem, or Supernova, or pretty much any of the high-end balls right now.
The Hustle HSB is a silver and black kind of hybrid.
Yeah, that wasn't one of my favorites either, to be honest.
2500 polish. So that's sort of his skid flip ball in that.
If I hadn't seen Ben comment before, I would think that he was trying to punk me here.
And the wild streak is, yeah, I mean,
just really nichey balls, like in my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
watch some of our reviews. We'll try and steer you towards the more popular ones and fit a little better for a wider
it feels
range.
like you've got like a driver and a chipper, and you haven't got any 7 irons.
Zen Infinite Physics is a nice base to build off of, though.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, but yeah.
A spare ball? I mean, like, god damn, I can't think of anything I'd hate more than bowling a 1-to-1 42-foot pattern for league.
Yeah, 1 to 138 feet. We tried that a couple of times. That really sucks. But yeah, this is hard. This is where, if you're a higher rev rate player, that's where guys tend to throw urethane, although it's not great on this. But nothing's great on this. So,
whatever you feel like you can keep. The advice I give everybody for 1-to-1 pattern is you're not going to get miss left and right. So you've got to determine where you can find your miss. And if you feel like more comfortable with having the miss to the right, then you're probably going to have to find a stronger ball. And if you like having the miss to the left, then you can probably like shut it down a little bit, keep your angle straight, and use a slightly weaker ball. So, yeah. It's going to be difficult, though. And also, bowling that in league, people are going to be all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not going to be. When I do presentations, I kind of cut it off at 250 and below. I consider low. Up to 255 is medium. And then 256 and above is high. It's a very general thing.
He also throws 15-pound balls now, so he can have those numbers.
Yeah.
Can't have those. Low is like 248. Medium is like 250 to 252. And high is like 254 and above.
Well, to be honest, when I was with a different manufacturer out further east, once it got above about 252, they all rolled bad anyway. So it didn't really, they were still there, but you didn't really try and use them.
And Chris didn't bowl it. That's the other part of it that's really ironic.
Yeah.
He didn't bowl anything else. He just didn't bowl it.
It was weird. Packy showed up, bowled a regional, and made, and finished third. I believe he was this 2 seed, actually. I think Dylan might have been the 4th seed.
No, Dylan was the 1 seed. Eric Jones was the 3 seed, and Packy was the 2 seed.
Ah, that's where I had it backwards. Okay. Huh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Core by itself would do it, but the cover is also stronger. As a medium control ball, kind of right in the middle of the arsenal, it could.
It's below a Zen for me. Like, for me, it's kind of a similar-ish shape to the Zen. It's just less. So that's kind of where it fits for me.
And to be fair, probably where I see it working for me is with a little bit of the polish off of it. And so it'll be a touch above the Zen.
Hey, Johnny, that is screaming out for an infinite physics.
Good line, though.
Yeah.
A double spotting. I'm looking at the. My eyes always end up back at the arrows, but I'm looking down. If they have rangefinders, you're trying to get it probably to the rangefinder on the right. Maybe a touch around it, but you're trying to get it to it and then draw.
But you're not trying to land it there.
No. I'm just trying to get it to land. I don't want it to, if it lands in the moat, you don't get very many. So
just out of curiosity, when you're lofting, are you like, do you focus on a spot kind of where you want it to land, like how far down the lane you want it to land?
No, it's one of the things that I'm way better at lofting on the left gutter cap than I am in the middle of the lane because I have a tough time picking a distance.
That's what I'm saying. I really
In the
mean when you left.
But when I'm left, I'm just trying to get it safely onto land. So normally I'm trying to land it about 3 boards inside, and wherever that has to be, on the lane.
Yeah,
And
I was wondering because
they get you a little right or left, and I never really thought about it for a long time. It was just feel, and so I felt like I was pretty good at lofting it when I was there, just because I'm drawing a line through the target, and wherever it landed on, 37, that's kind of where I was just trying to get it in the air to. And I was doing that without really going, hey, I'm going to land on 37. But from the middle of the lane, I try and get it over the dots now when I loft it from the middle of the lane.
My man. I mean, to me, I feel like the Night Road would just fit underneath the phase 5. Like when the phase 5 was a little lazy down the lane because it was burning up, the Night Road would fit pretty good after that.
Yeah, and for me, I would have probably one ball in between those two. Gem, UC2, Synergy, Cosmos, Hybrid Pearl, and IQ2.
I think there's too big a gap between the Gem and the UC2, but I like the back part of the arsenal. I would imagine that the Cosmos is like, to me, that arsenal would go Gem, Cosmos, UC2, Synergy, High Road Pearl, IQ Tour. But
yeah.
I imagine that Ryan is going to bowl the US Open because I think as being part of Team USA, he qualifies for it. How far down the strength list do you consider the UC2? Right around the dark code. So
medium angular in my list.
It's cleaner than the dark code for me. So
it's underneath the Zen Soul Phase 2, Phase 5 grouping.
It's kind of in the same spot as the X2, I guess, for you.
Yeah.
You just like the X2 better.
Yeah. I think that's exactly where I put it.
Phase 2, IQ Torsad, Hustle USA, High Road Pearl mix. Any one of those?
Got some red right there, Chief. Or softer speed.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine maybe he's two-handed. Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards something a little stronger, maybe an Infinite Physics, and then like to me, there's a pretty big gap between a Phase 2 and an IQ Tour, so maybe a Zen.
IQ Tropical and the purple.
Okay.
They curve a little bit.
Just before the tournament in Game 6, High Road Pearl, Hyped Pearl was giving me over under reaction, but Idle Synergy was too much. Any recommendations to fit that gap? Maybe just a little more surface on your Hyped Pearl.
Burner?
I think the Hyped Pearl is stronger than the Burner, to be honest.
Well, that's right, but it might blend out the over under just a touch.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, without watching, it's hard really to understand.
Yeah, both those covers are both pretty responsive.
Yeah,
and so the one thing that might work is a little bit stronger cover, even if like say a Hype Solid, but it wasn't as dull. Would blend out in there, and that's where that dry control type ball. You have two balls that are pretty much on the dry angular end of things, and so.
It depends. I mean, to me, probably in between the Proton and the Phase 2 needs to be a ball, and depending on how dry the lanes get, I think maybe from the Zen, you might want something below the Zen. But
pretty big gap after the Zen. I assume you're probably a little bit speed dominant, and so phase, intense, and fight.
Phase, intense, and fight. Yeah, they're yeah, that was a little bit of a rough start.
there is less when it's a solid color. But going back, if you go back to, there's been a couple examples: the IQ Tour versus the gold, and then in the Badger line, the white one versus the gold one. The white was even a little bit more, but when in there one color, I don't think you see as much because you don't have to change ratios to get the colors to mix, and that's when you notice colored bright colored balls that are mixed with dark colors, and you see the change in reaction. That's when that changes the most, is when you're mixing with light and dark. As one color, they will hook sooner, or in that case, most of them they just hook a little bit more when they're lighter colored.
Two-handed right side primarily. High 15 speed, 450. 3 of the 4 houses hook a bunch this year. Hype Solid, Night Road, Dark Moss, Nova, Ultra Reality, Phase 4, Reality, both in car until a house there's not hooking a bunch. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I feel like you got some pretty good options. I mean, if they're hooking a bunch, I think you could do a lot worse than maybe a Hustle Wine.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite long. It's a complimentary to
any Storm ball at Wayne Webb's is the answer. Storm absolutely owns Wayne Webb. It's fantastic. There you go. PA will look after you. Reality Nova, Rubicon, Zen, RSTX, UC3, Hustle PBR, White Hot Badger Mix. What gaps to fill or replace? I mean, I'm guessing that your Rubicon's probably getting a little bit on. So, you know, our favorite could probably fit in there. Overall, though, I think you got a pretty good mix there.
Yeah, Infinite Physics for Rubicon is about it. So,
depends. I like the Phase 4 a lot. So,
yeah, I think they have. I think there's a lot of similarities there. You know, unless you're bowling a ton of USPC nationals or collegiate type events, I think P4 probably has a little more shelf life. You know, but as it goes on, I wouldn't be afraid to go to the Phase 5 to replace it when that time comes.
No idea what it's going to do. Didn't see the announcement with Belmo. I saw something about the whole Storm and Belmo together is fate or whatever the marketing was.
Nice.
All good stuff. Whatever we're going to do. I still remember him winning the high roller with a Columbia ball. Do you feel like SPI will eventually replace every ball that was made illegal this year? Yes.
Pretty much half. Close. High roads.
Yeah.
Definitely high roads for that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a bit behind here. Let's quickly rapid fire through these and get out of here. We've been
all right
for an hour. I recently purchased Arsenal after watching your video. Reality, Helios, UC3, my wildcard, High Road Pearl, Tropical Surge. Totally happy with them. Thanks. Glad we were helpful. What kind of balls should a low rev bowler look for on heavy long oil?
Big cores.
Yeah. Depending if you have lower speed, I like the dark code in that regard. If you're speed dominant, low rev, low speed. Yeah. So I think that the balls that have got a little cleaner cover but have the really big cores are the way to go. So right. Infinite Physics, dark code, UC2, reality check, maybe those balls. The problem is if you've got low rev and low speed, you'll find that the really strong cover balls are going to burn up a lot.
Right.
And then that's the last thing you need on a long pattern.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
No idea about the fate, but yes from the Dark Moss.
Yeah, the last 4 games, Packy made a run with reactive.
Yeah, that sounds like a good option. Gem, X3, Soul, Zen, Axiom Pearl. What's next? Probably something below the Axiom Pearl, maybe a Hype Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, you have lots of room in there. Hype Pearl, Hustles, Burners.
I mean, to be honest, you could even go a Dark Moss or a
Wolverine. Yeah, that.
But I would think that something below the Axiom Pearl is the gap you need to fill.
Yeah, you knocked out the top half pretty good.
Reality.
Yeah.
I have the Reality Nova Phase 2 UFO Alert. Wolf. Nice effort.
That's a good lineup.
Thoughts on either Phase 5 or Zen as a ball down from OG Nova? Down and in player. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Probably the Zen for me. I think it's a little stronger. I think like Nova
maybe a touch more
Phase
shape
5.
down lane. Yeah.
Nova to Phase 5 might be a bit of a big gap. Yeah. You like that one. For a 3-ball Arsenal, what's the gap after an Infinite Physics? Zen.
Yeah, symmetrical ball there. Yeah.
Yes.
And then Night Road, Hustle, those kind of balls.
For me, the reality check is more continuous. I felt like the altered reality was really, it stood up and went forward, which was quite useful as a ball. I think the reality check's a little cleaner, but I think it's more continuous. Starting 6, reality Phase 2, Zen, IQ Tour, Hype Pearl, Plastic. When going to bigger events, and an X3 polish and a High Road Pearl. Yeah, good
lineup. Yep.
I tried to mix up for league and mix Gem, X1, X2, UC3, Pitch Black, Helios, Zen 1. Seeing if a Dark Moss or a Phase 5 makes sense. Yes. I think maybe the Dark Moss, if you've got the Zen and the Helios. I think the Dark Moss might make the most sense.
Yeah, the Phase 5 would be a little closer to those two. So older generation, but newer than IQ 2 are solid. You have a ton of balls already, Adam.
I'm solid. I have an electrified pearl for dry lanes, but it tends to deflect through the pins. Any recommendations for a replacement? I personally prefer either the burner pearl or the hyped pearl over the electrified pearl. I don't know why, because they're probably really similar cover-wise, but that's just
a little more core.
Feel.
They're probably the main reason.
Infinite Helios, Dark Moss, High Road Pearl. Nice.
A Union Jack shirt. There you go.
Were you talking about the T-shirt? Maybe they took it down.
Okay.
It was like a limited edition one, I think. What would you recommend for 40-foot house, sharp back end, old school ball returns where you can't move left? Hustle wind very sharp and a lot of over-under. Maybe if the hustle wind is kind of close, Hustle USA, kind of same cause, solid cover. That might help out.
Yeah, you blend it out a little bit more with that. Burner solid. You can step up a little bit to like IQ2 or a smaller core with a little more cover.
I'm sure you've got it, Pat. I mean, I think there's a gargantuan gap between the reality and the idle cosmos, but you also use a tropical surge, so I'm not sure we're on the same page. I used to enjoy bowling with my fight, had a ton of good games. I mean, I had back-to-back 300s with a fight. That ball was the definition of niche, though. Like a solid, I think it was R2S, and the RG was like 2.6.
causing more hook, and I mean a little more earlier hook. I mean, that's what I mean by it. So,
yeah, could say that for sure. Phase 5 seems almost like the Phase 4 and Spectre hybrid. Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, a little darker colors. So,
yeah, maybe. I didn't have much success with that one. The Storm
never
Fate
threw
is
it.
coming November 18th. How many Fate bowling balls will Rash be drilling? Probably none. Go Pats. Go Browns. Okay. All right. We're here. Building a 4-ball arsenal, have a phase 2 and a hustle wine. What would you recommend going to complete the arsenal? I like the Dark Moss though, to bridge that gap, or a Night Road, either.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it'll give you more length and tighten up the flares. So,
X2. Oh, sorry. What's the most used? Sorry, I read that as most underrated. The most used ball, Storm Roto Grip ball on tour right now.
Reality, Zen,
Phase 2 for a while, but not so much
Phase
now.
2 for a long time, High Roads for a long time.
UFO Alert was a ball that was used a lot. Yeah. The board has been updated. It said she's a 10, but she can't throw a spare. Now it says she can't throw a messenger. Love the Cosmos with polish on it. I actually like it way better than dull. What's my favorite ball this year? Infinite Physics. Would the reality and the infinite fit in the same place on house? No, not really.
Not really. And if they do, then put a little polish on the infinite. That'll separate them.
Infinite Zen and Hype Solid. What would I add to that? I would probably add a Night Road or a Dark Moss. Parallax Phase 2 Night Road IQ Tour Solid. I guess that means Purple Armor Brunswick Twist. I seem to find more transition in. What's your favorite ball? Get left burn ball. Night Road at the minute.
Yeah, Night Road and X2. I'm a fan of that one too. On that, it's a ball I was missing earlier when we were talking about kind of current lineups.
High Road is beat up, but I love it. What would be a good replacement? If you haven't bowled in 10 years, then I would think the Phase 5 wouldn't be miles away from kind of that overall hook that the High Road was. But if you want like another high RG ball, you could just get another High Road. In a 6-ball arsenal, do you guys have balls with the same core?
Not often, but there's some in the middle. You'll have some similar numbers. Like if you're for a long time, I didn't like asymmetrical balls very much at all, and so I had a lot of low RG symmetricals that were maybe not the same, but so similar that. But you are taking a chance for sure.
I don't really look at balls like that, so I don't worry about it. Like to me, I don't really give a shit what the core is in the Phase 2 and the Phase 4 or 5. Those balls aren't even remotely close to each other for me. So the fact that they have the same core, it doesn't really influence me. And like, should I take it or should I not? Like back in the day when I was throwing Brunswick, we used to carry Ultimate Inferno, Absolute Inferno. Not even worry about it. It was the best thing ever. Yeah. Like all of those balls banged. So yeah. I think one time I even took the blue one, whatever that one was. I forget now. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the C4 was a little bit underrated, overshadowed, but it wasn't as good as the Zen. No real way around that.
Oh, look at this dickhead.
don't know, 16 pounds.
Oh, God. Infinite Zen Soul. She doesn't have a Helios because we haven't drilled it. Dark Code, UC2, Hustle Wine, Wolverine Dark Moss. I'm a Williams, so I always need more balls. What am I missing?
Practice.
That's a sore subject at the minute. She doesn't necessarily have a spot to go practice at the minute. She's been boleroed. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. I think we got virtually every question. So, yeah. Thanks for showing out. We like doing these. It seems like you guys like writing in with the Arsenal. So we kind of want to maybe do it, once a month, once every 6 weeks sort of thing, just to, we all like talking about balls.
That's right. Especially smelly ones. So there we go. Hey, join us again on Thursday as we'll come up with something new and interesting, I'm sure. And in between there, if you get a choice, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm, Roto Grip, Banner Global, Coolwick, Bowler Smart, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later.